All right, guys, what is up? I know it's been a while, and well, I'm not really sorry about it. I was just kind of lazy, and I had to move to college and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get back into it. One thing I noticed is I had to retype all the code because I switched. Well, I deleted my old operating system and I reinstalled Windows and I lost the code. And I noticed that I actually go pretty dang fast in these videos. So I thought that I would actually slow down a little bit and take it more slowly, because I think it's kind of hard to understand exactly what's going on since I'm going so fast. So yeah, I'm gonna take it slower now. And the first thing I want to do is I actually want to redo the way this renderable class works. So one thing I noticed is that every single object is going to have almost the exact same draw method. And you know, if every single object uses the same draw method, we can just make a default method called draw in the renderable class. We wouldn't have to implement it every single time in every new object, which is kind of tedious and boring. However, we do need to get some values from the class that's implementing renderable. We're going to go ahead and make some functions so that we can access those values. So let's go ahead and delete this draw function here. Now let's go ahead and make our new functions. We're gonna have public double get x, and remember, these are all the functions that we need to draw the sprite, right? So we need the x, we need the y, so we have to have a get y, we have to have the width, so get width, and we need the height. We also need the sprite itself. We can just type that as public buffered image. So this function here is going to return the actual sprite, the buffered image, and get buffered image. And we need to import this. On NetBeans, you just right click and fix imports. And there we go. Now we need to actually implement the default method, right? So let's type public default void draw sprite. And as the parameter, we just need the graphics 2D, because that is the object that we need to actually draw the sprite. And we need to import this as well. And now we can actually implement the method, which is g.drawImage. So now we actually need to fill in the parameters. So it takes the actual sprite itself, so get buffered image. So now you can see where these functions come into play. We need them inside of our draw sprite function, right? And we need to typecast to an int the next 4 parameters. So to make this easier, I'm just going to copy this and get the typing. So get x, we need the get y, we need the get width, and we need the get height. And the last parameter is null. And that is it for that function. Now we never have to implement this draw sprite function again in our class. However, we do need to implement these get methods, right? So let's go back to our spaceship and kind of fix the spaceship class, right? So we can delete this draw function now. And we have to make these methods non-static. Okay, so in NetBeans, you can go to the class that's showing the error, and you can do Alt-Enter, and then you can implement all abstract methods, right? And remember, these are default methods, so we don't actually need to override those. We just need to override this get buffered image. So let's generate that function, and here it is. And all we have to do here is return our spaceship. I spelled this incorrectly. It's spaceship like this. Now, as you can see, we have a error in our renderer class. So let's go to the renderer class. And obviously the problem is that our objects don't have this draw function anymore. They actually have the draw sprite function. So we do object.drawSprite. And then here we pass in our G2D like that. And then also, I don't know why I did +1 here. So while we're here, let's go ahead and delete this +1. Okay, and that is it for our renderer class for today and our renderable class for today. So we can go ahead and close these files out. Now we still need to work on the spaceship. All right, guys, so I'm coming back later and I'm recording this again. So that's why there's some enters before and after this function, because I don't want you to be able to see the code that's not ready for the tutorial. This part of the video got messed up, so I'm re-recording this. So basically, all you need to do on this part is we're bounding the spaceship to the window, right? And so the way that we do that is that we say if we're clicking the left button and our x is greater than 0, then you can go to the left, right? Because if it is greater than 0, then we don't want him to be able to hit the left button anymore, because he'll be off the window, right? And then the same thing with the right button, except that it's for the right side of the window. So if our x is less than or equal to the window width minus the width of the spaceship, then you can move to the right. Now, the reason that we have to subtract our width is because the 0 on the spaceship sprite starts on the very left side of the spaceship, right? And then the same thing with the Y's. So again, if we're hitting the up button and our Y is greater than or equal to 0, then we can move. Otherwise, don't move it. And the same thing with down, except that we subtract our height from the window height. And yeah, so that's it for this little insertion part of the video. Okay, so that was a big part of the episode. Now we just need to go over the actual scrolling background, which will look super cool. So the first thing to note is that I do have my background saved in this res folder. So I have a background called space.png that I'm going to move into this resources folder, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, now I pasted this space.png into our resources folder, and now we can actually use this PNG. So let's go to objects, new, Java class, and we're going to call this one background, and it's going to implement renderable and updatable. We need to import these interfaces, so fix the imports, and then we need to actually override the methods. So implement the abstract methods, yes. And now we just need to go down this list and implement these abstract methods. I forgot to implement the updatable methods, so let's go ahead and do that. Now let's go ahead and create our constructor, or create some variables for this class first actually. So we're gonna have a private static double called width window.getWinWidth, because we want our background to be the size of the window. And then we're going to do the same thing, so private static double but with the height, and that'll be equal to window.getWinHeight. And then we need a private static double x, because the x will be the same for all the classes. It'll be 0. Sorry for the notifications, by the way. And then we'll have a private double y, and it's not static because we're gonna instance this class twice, and the only difference is the y's are gonna be different. So now let's go ahead and create our layer variable. So private final int layer, and set it to equal to 0 because our spaceship is at 1 and we want it to be behind the spaceship. And then we also need to make the actual sprite itself. So private static buffered image, we can call it background, and then another private double, and this one's going to be the actual speed of the background, which we will set to 400, so twice as fast as the ship. And now we can actually create the constructor of this class. So public background, and it's going to take in a y value, and we need to throw an IO exception. And I'm going to go ahead and fix these imports, and I misspelled window here. So now we just need to set our y to the y that we passed into the constructor. And we need to set the background equal to image.io.read new file, and we need to pass in the name of the file, in this case res/space.png. Right, let's go ahead and fix these imports, and now we can say renderer.add renderable objects this, and we also need to add this to the updater, just like that. So now we can start implementing these overrideable methods. So here we're just going to return our layer. Here, we're just going to return our x. Here, we're just going to return our y. And the same thing with the width. And one more time for the height. And then here, we're going to actually return the sprite, which in our case, we called it background. Okay, and now we're to the actual main part of this class, or the thing that's the most special about the class is the actual scrolling background itself. It's super easy to code this. All you have to do is, first of all, we're always going to be moving the background down. So y plus equals speed times fps.get delta time, like this. And I need to import this class. And then whenever the background gets below the bottom of the screen, we're just going to move it to the top of the screen. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to instance this class twice. One instance of the class is going to be higher than the other, right? When the bottom class gets to the bottom of the screen, we're going to move it to the top, and we're just going to do that forever for each one, and it's going to look like there's one background moving down the whole time. So basically we check if the y is greater than or equal to the window.getWinHeight, and if that's the case, then we do y equals negative window.getWinHeight. Okay, so that is it for the background class. Now we need to go to the entry class and instance this class twice. So let's go to the entry class, and then here we can just say new background, and the first background we're going to spawn at 0. But the second background, we're going to spawn it above it. And remember, a higher number on the window is a lower number. So it's kind of, unintuitive, but it's a negative window.getWinHeight, like this. And that's it. Now we should see a scrolling background. right? But let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and center our spaceship since we're already here. So window dot get win width and divide this by 2. And we need to subtract half the width of the spaceship. And this is why we made that variable public. So minus spaceship dot width divided by 2. And it seems I didn't make the width public. I guess I didn't. I thought I did, but this needs to be public. And now let's go back to our entry class, and that should work. And now we can set this to window dot get when height minus 150. I just thought that was a good place on the screen to place it. You can place it wherever you want. And now we need to import this background class. And now if we run the game, it should work. So let's see. Next one, we'll probably go over bullets. Anyway, that's it for this one. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I gained 10 subs and I was like, I need to post another video as fast as possible. And yeah, I'm very appreciative, by the way, guys. So expect more to come. I'm going to try to make one every day if my school allows it. So anyway, I'll see you next time.